Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 30th of January. UN General Assembly President meets India's Foreign Minister in New Delhi. Blast at mosque in Pakistan's Peshawar targets police, more than 27 killed. And residents in Afghanistan's Kabul struggle in bitterly cold weather. And now for all the details. United Nations General Assembly-UNGA President Csaba Korosi on Monday met India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar in New Delhi during his first official visit to the country. Both the leaders held talks on key global challenges, UN reform, the Ukraine conflict and G20 agenda. Jaishankar said on Twitter that he assured the UNGA President of India's fullest support in developmental progress and reformed multilateralism. Apart from interacting with senior government officials and India's G20 presidency team, Korosi paid a visit to the memorial of Indian freedom struggle leader Mahatma Gandhi on his 75th death anniversary. The UNGA President, during a public address, said that India's leadership on global challenges has been exemplary. He also extolled India's calls for peace in Ukraine and across the world.
India's leadership on global challenges and her strong voice in multilateral affairs have been exemplary. The journeys of the UN and independent India have been intertwined since the prospective founding in the 1940s. For 7 decades, we have travelled hand in hand.
And India's main opposition Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi's unity march, the Bharat Jodo Yatra, concluded on Monday in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir. The 5-month-long march saw Rahul Gandhi walk the length of the country from India's southern tip, Kanyakumari, hoping to repair the battered image of his party and take on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dominant Bharatiya Janata Party.
India's opposition Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi on Monday ended his 135 days long foot march in Srinagar city of India's Jammu and Kashmir with hundreds of people including leaders of several opposition parties gathering at the conclusion ceremony. Named Bharat Jodo Yatra or Unite India March, Gandhi began his journey from India's southern tip of Kanyakumari in September last year, hoping to repair the battered image of Congress, which has been decimated in 2 successive general elections. Rahul Gandhi in his address said he wanted to remind India that it is a country of love, respect and brotherhood. The aim was to stand against the ideology that wants to destroy the foundation of the country, he said, attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party.
जो विचारधारा इस देश की नींव को तोड़ने की कोशिश कर रही है, उसके खिलाफ हम खड़े हों, मिलकर खड़े हों, नफरत से नहीं, क्योंकि वो हमारा तरीका नहीं है, मोहब्बत से खड़े हों। मैं जानता हूं कि अगर हम मोहब्बत से खड़े होंगे, प्यार से बात रखेंगे, तो हमें सफलता मिलेगी और उनकी जो विचारधारा है, उसको हम सिर्फ हराएंगे नहीं, मगर उस विचारधारा को हम उनके दिलों से निकाल देंगे.
The Bharat Jodo Yatra in the last 135 days covered 3,570 kilometers through 14 Indian states. The once dominant Congress controls less than 10% of the elected seats in Parliament's lower house. It faces an uphill task against the BJP that appears poised to sweep the general election due next year.
Well, in news from Pakistan, an explosion in a mosque killed more than 27 people and wounded 150 in Pakistan's northwestern city of Peshawar on Monday. The mosque was located inside a compound that includes the headquarters of the provincial police force and a counter-terrorism department. According to the police, there were some 260 people inside when the blast occurred. Many of the casualties were police officers who had gathered for daily noon prayers. An eyewitness talking to local media said the blast also caused the two-story building to collapse, leading to many getting buried under the rubble. Peshawar's police chief Izaz Khan said the possibility of a suicide bombing could not be ruled out as traces of explosives were found inside the mosque. No terror group had claimed responsibility for the blast and the last reports came in. More on news from Pakistan. Cash-strapped Pakistan has announced a 35 rupees increase in the prices of petrol and diesel days after its currency depreciated to its lowest against the US dollar in the interbank and open market. The decision comes as an International Monetary Fund mission is set to arrive in Islamabad this week for talks.
Petrol and diesel prices in Pakistan were increased by 35 rupees days after country's currency value plummeted when price caps were removed. The decision announced by Finance Minister Jaishankar on Sunday came as an International Monetary Fund mission will visit Pakistan this week to discuss the stalled 9th review of the country's current funding program. Last week, the Pakistani rupee lost close to 12% of its value after the removal of price caps that were imposed by the government but which were opposed by the IMF. Dar said that he hoped the announcement would dispel speculation on social media of a higher price hike or that petrol supplies would run dry. He further added that the hike was recommended by oil and gas authorities due to the higher cost of buying energy in the global market.
कि पेट्रोल और डीजल की कीमतों में 35 रुपए फी लीटर इजाफा होगा और केरोसिन ऑयल और लाइट डीजल ऑयल में 18 रुपए का इजाफा होगा.
The Pakistani rupee on Monday hit an all-time low after dropping about 2.56% to 269.5 rupees per dollar from its previous close in the interbank market. Moving the rupee to a market-based exchange rate is one of several conditions set by the IMF to start talks over the 9th review of Pakistan's $7 billion bailout program. A successful IMF visit is critical for Pakistan, which is facing an increasingly acute balance of payments crisis and is desperate to secure external financing with less than 3 weeks of import cover in its foreign exchange reserves.
And moving on, authorities in Pakistan's Rawalpindi recently demolished at least 5 houses of minority Hindus and Christians who were living in the cantonment area for the past 70 years. The victims blamed it to be a tactic of persecution and said they were not given any prior notice. They said belongings were thrown on the streets to evict them despite having proper documents.
Authorities in Pakistan's Rawalpindi have demolished houses of minority Hindus and Christians who were living in the cantonment area for the past 70 years. Reports suggest at least 5 houses were demolished on January 27, which belonged to Hindu, Christian and Shia families. The victims blamed they were not given any prior notice and their belongings were thrown on the streets to evict them despite having proper documents. They accused the police also refused to file a complaint of attack on them.
ये माफिया आते हैं तो बस कम से कम 100 बंदों की नफरी होती है तो हमारे पे दहशत और खौफ फरास कर देते हैं और हमने बड़ा इनसे मुकाबला किया. इनसे पहले इन्होंने हमारे दुकानदारों के सिर भी फाड़े हैं, हमारे बच्चों के हाथ भी तोड़े हैं. इनके पास इतनी अप्रोच और इतनी पावर है कि इन्होंने FIR तक नहीं कटने दी.
Minorities in Pakistan have been facing exploitation and persecution for the past several decades, while the administration, police and even judiciary remain mute spectators.
Well, in news from Afghanistan, Kabul residents on Sunday said they were struggling in bitterly cold weather and are unable to heat their homes in temperatures well below freezing as they could not afford firewood and charcoal. The coldest winter in 15 years, which has seen temperatures dip as low as minus 34 degrees Celsius, has hit Afghanistan in the middle of a severe economic crisis. Residents in Kabul city of Afghanistan on Sunday were seen struggling in bitterly cold weather, unable to heat their homes in temperatures well below freezing because they said they could not afford firewood and charcoal. Authorities have said that more than 160 people have died from the cold in Afghanistan this month, in the worst winter in more than a decade, and about 84 of the deaths that have taken place in the last week alone. The coldest winter in 15 years, which has seen temperatures dip as low as minus 34 degrees Celsius,
has hit Afghanistan in the middle of severe economic crisis.
خلق تکاغونه کی دا غون خلق نکی یا کومک یو شاید لرګي ورته وکي خو ورته یو شاید اسی کومک ورته نه کوي د یخ د لاسه نه خسته مړ کی
زمستان سخت دراز بسیار از این کلام سخت میشه دیگه توجه سازمان ملل هم میخواهیم در بسیاری ولایت ها بچه ها طفلا زنا فرق کرده دیگه مشکل است.
Many aid groups have partially suspended operations in recent weeks due to the Taliban administration ruling that most female NGO workers could not work, leaving agencies unable to operate many programs in the conservative country. No foreign government has formally recognized the Taliban administration since it seized power, with some diplomats saying it must change course on women's rights. Many countries have expressed major concerns over the ban on girls above age 12 on attending school or university.
And Nepal on Sunday dispatched 2 stones of Shaaligram to the Indian city of Ayodhya to be used for making the idol of Lord Ram, which will be placed in the under-construction Ram Janam-bhoomi temple. Banks of the Kali Gandaki river is the only place where Shaaligram stones are found and are considered sacred.
Nepal on Sunday dispatched 2 Shaaligram stones considered as non-anthropomorphic representation of Lord Vishnu in Hindu religion for the Indian city of Ayodhya for the construction of Ram and Janki idols expected to be placed in the main temple complex of under construction Ram Janam-bhoomi temple. These stones are found only near the river banks of Kali Gandaki river that flows through Mayagdi and Mustang district. Nepali Congress leader Bimalendra Nidhi coordinated with Indian authorities for dispatching these stones. He said the Nepal's Janki temple would later also send a bow to Ram temple in Ayodhya as per the specification of the Ram Temple Trust. The 2 stones weighing 18 tons and 16 tons will reach Ayodhya by 1st of February.
In the Kali Gandaki river is well known and very precious in the world. It's kind of, it is said, it is accepted that this stone is the symbol of Bhagavan Vishnu. Ram is the incarnation of Vishnu. That is why the stone from the Gandaki river is, if available, it will be very good to make Ram Lala's Murti in Ayodhya for the Ram Janam-bhoomi temple.
सर्वप्रथम यो एउटा नेपालकै लागि एउटा महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हो। हाम्रो म्याग्दी जिल्लाको मात्र नभएर यो स्थानीय स्थानको मात्र नभएर नेपालकै गौरवको विषय हो। जो नेपाल र भारत बीचको जुन सम्बन्ध छ त्यो सम्बन्ध अझ प्रगाढ हुने एउटा मौका आएको छ। त्यसको लागि हामी एउटा नेपाली नै खुसी हुनुपर्ने अवस्थामा हामी यहाँको स्थानीय त अत्यन्तै खुसी छौं।
The Shaaligram Shilas are worshipped as Lord Vishnu in Hindu religion, and it is believed Lord Ram was an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. The Indian city of Ayodhya is believed to be the birthplace of Lord Ram.
Nathalie Massè, a French psychologist, was felicitated in India's southern Coimbatore on Sunday as she cycled her way from France, covering around 8,000 kilometers across 10 countries to spread the message of preventing soil erosion.
A French psychologist and cyclist, Nathalie Massè, was felicitated in India's southern Coimbatore city on Sunday as she cycled her way from France, covering around 8,000 kilometers across 10 countries to spread the message of preventing soil erosion. Massè, who reached Coimbatore on Saturday, visited several educational institutions to raise soil awareness and interact with students as part of her Wheels for Soil journey. The French cyclist started her ride on June 21st, the same day when Indian yoga personality Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev completed his 3-month motorcycle journey in Coimbatore after covering 27 countries for a safe soil movement.
As a psychologist, I can see how many children are completely with anxiety, with lots of disorder trouble, because of the disconnection with the soil and with the nature. So that really struck me.
Italy, Turkey, Serbia, Croatia and Bulgaria are some of the countries that Massè covered. Feeding a growing global population will become almost impossible if the world doesn't take better care of its rapidly deteriorating soils, humanitarian agencies say.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now, our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.